All right, if you're in law school, I'm willing to bet you've been haunted by two specific acronyms, FIRAC and IRAC. They seem to be the key to everything, from briefing a case to absolutely acing your final exam, but they're also a huge source of confusion. Well, today, we're going to make them simple. You see these things in every single class, from legal writing to torts, and they're all over your exam prep. But getting them right isn't just some academic exercise. It's literally the difference between a good grade and a great one. So let's clear up all that confusion for good. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to break down why these are two totally different tools. Then we'll get into exactly when to use FIRAC for your case briefs and when you've got to switch over to IRAC for exams. After that, I'm going to share the secret formulas for a top-tier answer, and then we'll wrap it all up with a final showdown. Okay, let's get the most important things straight, right from the get-go. FIRAC and IRAC are not interchangeable. They might look kind of similar, but trust me, they are built for two completely different jobs. Using the wrong one is like a classic first-year mistake we want to avoid. This is probably the best way to remember the difference. Think of FIRAC as deconstruction. You're like a legal archaeologist, carefully taking apart a finished court decision to see exactly how it was put together. But IRAC, that's all about construction. Now you're the architect, building your very own legal argument from the ground up to solve a brand new problem. So let's start with deconstruction. Let's look at the tool you use pretty much every single night for your reading assignments, FIRAC. This is your go-to framework for briefing a case. Okay, so when your professor assigns a case, your job is to brief it, right? You're not inventing an argument here. What you're doing is reverse engineering the court's logic to figure out precisely how it got from point A, the facts, to point Z, the final decision. And FIRAC gives you the 5 essential steps for that whole dissection: facts, issue, rule, application, and conclusion. It's really just a comprehensive checklist to capture the full anatomy of what the judge wrote. Now look closely at what you're doing here. You're summarizing the facts the court cared about, you're identifying the issue the court had to decide, you're explaining the court's application. See the pattern? You're not giving your opinion at all, you're simply reporting on what the court did. Okay, let's switch gears. The lights are low, the clock is ticking away, and that final exam is sitting right there on your desk. This is not the time for FICRAC. This is IRAC's time to shine. So on an exam, you get a whole new story, a fact pattern you've never seen before. Your job isn't to report on what some court did in the past. Nope. Now you have to be the lawyer. You are constructing a brand new argument totally from scratch. And right away, you can see the difference, can't you? The F for facts is gone, and why's that? Well, because the facts are already given to you in the exam question. Your professor knows them. Wasting precious time just summarizing them is a huge mistake. And that A is probably the most critical difference of all. In FRAC, it's the court's application. But in IRAC, it's your analysis. This is where you earn your points. This is where you show the professor you can actually think like a lawyer. And to do that well, you need the right tools, which brings us to the secret sauce. Okay, this is where we get to the really good stuff. We're moving beyond just the letters now and into the formulas that will make your legal writing pop. This is the difference between a B+ and an A. It's all about precision. First up, for a razor-sharp issue statement, you need to use this formula every single time. What it does is force you to combine the rule of law with the most important facts of your scenario to ask a really precise legal question. See how different that is? A weak issue statement is just, is it battery? Lame. But this formula forces you to be so specific. You've just created this sophisticated legal question that proves to your professor you've already figured out the exact point of the fight. Now for the most important part, your analysis. And believe it or not, it all comes down to one simple, incredibly powerful word. This word is the engine of your entire argument. And this slide says it all. You can never just state your conclusion. Sentences like, the intent was met, they're totally worthless on their own. You must build a bridge from your conclusion all the way back to a specific fact using the word because. That is what professors mean when they're yelling at you to show your work. So let's put this all together. We've seen all the pieces, and now let's look at them side by side to make this distinction totally crystal clear. It really all comes down to this. FRAC looks backward to understand what a court has already done. IRAC looks forward to predict what a court should do. One is about reporting on the past, the other is about arguing for the future. And there it is. It really is that simple. When you open your casebook to read for class, you FIRAC. When you open that exam booklet to write your answer, you IRAC. It's all about using the right tool for the right job. So here's the final takeaway I want to leave you with. FIRAC and IRAC, they're not some templates designed to turn you into a robot. They are frameworks that unleash your thinking. They make your arguments clear, organized, and persuasive. They don't replace your legal mind, they showcase it. And now you know the difference and you have the right tool for every job. Good luck.